Hello everyone, again, I just got done making my first video. Okay, this is the other video I said I was going to make, and I want to make this video in response to Steve Kaufman's video. He brought up an interesting topic, correcting mistakes. Are they useful when you correct people's mistakes in languages? I made some comments over on the video, but one of them didn't show up. I made like 3 comments, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this video in response and give my opinions on this topic. First of all, yeah, correcting people's mistakes. I think that we can benefit from corrections. I think it's very beneficial when you get corrected. However, it's I think if the person, like for example, okay, if I'm learning a language and I speak with a native speaker, if I want to be corrected, I'm going to tell them, okay, before we engage in a deeper conversation, I'm going to tell them, hey, whenever you see a mistake, I want you to correct it. I want you to correct all the mistakes. That's great. If you want that, it's good to ask them ask them if they can correct the mistakes. So I don't think that we should be correcting people if they don't ask. Some people are nice about it. They will, they will say, "Oh, they will say, do you?" First, they will ask you, "Do you mind being corrected?" They'll ask you first, and then it's up to you. You can say no, or you can say sure. But I think that if we decide to correct people, I think we should ask them, because most people will get offended. They will get offended if you correct them, especially when you're doing it very often. After everything they say, you just keep correcting them. It gets very annoying, and it can discourage the student. Actually, during my first stages of learning languages, it was the same for me. I met some people. They were trying to correct me and stuff, like especially online. Like I would be in a chat room and they would correct some stuff, and I didn't like it. They would just like right off the bat just start correcting me, and I didn't have a good feeling. Although that person may have been trying to help me, but I felt kind of weird. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel comfortable, and I felt like it's a little bit of discouragement when people do that. But that was during my first stage of learning languages. But now, as years pass by, I realized that it's not a bad thing to get corrected. It's not a bad thing to get corrected. So normally when I chat with native speakers, I'll just tell them, like, look, I'm learning language. If you see any mistakes, correct me. If you see any mistakes. So I do that often. So we shouldn't really be correcting people right off the bat unless they want. You just ask them first if they, ask them if they want to be corrected. If they say it's okay, then go ahead and correct them. So yeah, otherwise just don't do it. I'll just leave it alone. Like me, for correcting other language learners, like I have some friends learning languages, and I noticed that, of course I have more experience in learning certain languages, like for example Japanese, and they make these simple mistakes. But I don't say anything at first. Like I just say, okay, yeah, he'll eventually realize that he's making that mistake. But like if they keep making the mistake like over and over, let's say like he made a mistake like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and I see it again, then I'm gonna probably bring it up and say, yeah, you should say it this way, not that way. That's probably an exception, but other than that, if I see it for the first time, I just leave it alone, because I don't even ask. Like, I mean, I could ask, like, hey, do you mind if I correct you? I just leave it alone. I don't really do it. It's just not in me to correct people, unless it's a situation like that situation, or like for example, my wife. Sometimes she says certain words in English, and she will confuse me, because I don't know what she's talking about, and I'll ask her. It's like, what do you mean? What do like for example, we were talking about braces, and she was calling them bracelets. Like she said, like her niece just got the bracelets, and I was like, your niece just got the bracelets. What are you talking about, bracelets? Like I don't know. I just didn't get the braces part, but she meant braces for the teeth. So like in that situation, if I don't understand something, I'll ask her. I'll say, okay, what do you mean? And then if it's something close like bracelets, it's close to braces, then I will say, oh, you mean braces? You mean braces? You should say braces. In that situation, I will correct them. But other than that, if their English is broken, if they're making all these grammatical mistakes, if I can understand their meaning and what they're, if the communication is there, I can understand. I don't really correct people. I just let them, because they're going to learn on their own eventually. As time goes by, they will learn the mistakes. They'll get better. So, yeah, that's my opinion on this. And yeah, we shouldn't correct people. Just start correcting them right off the bat, unless they want to be corrected. So yeah, I agree with Steve Kaufman on that. Unless they want to be corrected, then I don't think we should correct people. It's beneficial, however, but if this individual doesn't want to be corrected, I don't think we should correct them. So yeah, another thing he mentioned about over on Link, how the tutors, they don't correct people during speeches, like during the oral speeches, they don't correct them. They write it down, or they take note of something. I think that's a good idea to do, because they can, like Steve Kaufman said, they could just take that, put in their notes, and learn from that. They go study those mistakes and they learn from them, instead of just telling them right there, say, yeah, don't do this, do that. I think it's better to do that. Like me, even as a native English speaker, I took some classes at school. I think it was when I think I was like so I was a sophomore in college, and I took this. I can't remember what class it was. It wasn't an English class. It was I can't remember what class it was, but we had to write something, and I was writing using certain words I had no idea they were spelled. Like, for example, right off the bat. Like I said right off the back, as in BACK. I used right off the back, and the teacher had corrected me and put BAT. It was supposed to be right off the bat, you see. And I was like a sophomore in college, so I learned from that. I learned from that mistake, you see. There were some other ones like that as well I learned from. So I think corrections are good. We can benefit from them, but we shouldn't correct people. We shouldn't correct them unless they want to. Now, that was just like me being in school. That was like an exception, because the teacher had to correct the papers and whatnot. But if we're not in class and we're just speaking or whatever, and you just want to start correcting me, and I don't tell you that I want to be corrected, then that's kind of it can be considered like rude. It can be considered rude, and it tells you a lot about that individual on a personal level. So I would just be safe, and just if they making mistakes, just let them keep making mistakes, because eventually they're going to learn. If you feel that you want to correct them, then just ask them, do you mind if I correct you? If they say yes, then you can do it. So yeah, that's going to conclude my video here on my thoughts on this topic. And yep, thanks for the video, and talk to you guys soon.